Okay, welcome everyone. So yeah, we are going to record this meetup in order to post it on our YouTube channel. And yeah, I'm so happy that we're all here. Basically, Yuichi is going to give us a talk. So today is lecture style. The other 4 meetups we have in the week, we have a lot of interactions, Q&A. And this one will be lecture style for the benefit of people who cannot join our other meetups. And that's why we decided to record it and yeah, grow our community. So last week we learned about the importance of conditions during the Karma Lab, or during the Purpose and Meaning Lab. We learned about the joy of fulfilling our life's purpose and how we can have lasting happiness. So Yuichi is gonna go into detail for each one of them. And yeah, we are very happy here to be together. Thank you, Yuichi. And thank you to our technical guy, JK, as well. Thank you. And welcome everyone to the session. Let's listen attentively. And of course, you can post your questions in the chat box. We will come back to them in the upcoming sessions. Thank
you. Okay. So this is our very first trial to use this style. So I'm kind of nervous. So I may fail a lot. I'm big, but it's okay. When we do something for the first time, we tend to fail. This is very common. So we don't need to be too strict about ourselves. So we've been hosting meetings of Buddhism for almost 3 years, and we have 4 meetups every week. So I'm going to summarize 3 of them today. And the first one is karma, and the second, purpose, and the last one, happiness. So Buddha taught the law of karma throughout his lifetime of 80 years of his life. He attained the Buddhahood at the age of 35 and passed away at the age of 80. So basically, he taught his wisdom for 45 years. And throughout this period, he always emphasized this, the law of karma. It's like a compass for us to go forward on our spiritual journey. And the purpose or the destination of this journey is true happiness or enlightenment. So understanding the law of karma is very important. In other words, it's the law of cause and effect. So basically speaking, nothing happens without a cause. And if something happens, there was a cause. So there is a very well-known phrase that depicts this truth in a lay language. Seeds not sown will never grow. Seeds sown will never fail to grow. Our actions are like seeds. What we do is like a seed. And also what we speak, this is also a seed. This will surely germinate and grow bigger and eventually bear fruits or crops. And in addition to what we do and speak, what we think is also a seed. Today, I don't have enough time to explain this much, but this is one of the hallmarks of Buddhism. This is called 3 karmas. Physical action, speech, and our thought. Those are 3 karmas. And every day we're creating a lot of karma, especially with our mind. We talk a lot in a single day, but much more than that, we think and conceive many, many different thoughts. And each one of them is a seed. So Buddha clarified the mechanism of our future. How our future will unfold. There is a certain fixed mechanism. This is the law of karma, the law of cause and effect. If our future is like a fruit, what is the cause? Yeah, it's kind of simple. I think many people already know. The cause that shapes our future is our own karma. Yeah, please keep this in mind. This is the very, very basic and fundamental principle. Yeah, and there is something that helps the cause to bring about the effect. And without this something, cause will never develop into an effect. There is something very, very important. So this important factor is today's the main topic of this Karma Lab session. And let me show it in a diagram. Yeah, I wrote the union of the cause and effect, and this is the golden rule. Yeah, I named it golden rule. When the cause and the condition are united for the first time, an effect will arise. If the condition is missing, cause will remain dormant or inactivated. It will remain as a seed for a long, long time, like seeds buried in a frozen land of Siberia. It will never grow in such a cold temperature. Conditions are missing. So in the case of seeds, conditions, what are the conditions? It's kind of obvious. Soil, yeah, soil is very important. If we just leave a seed on a table, it will never germinate. Soil is important. Water is also important. Sunlight, warm temperature, and nutrition and farmers' labor, they are all important conditions. This is called indirect cause. Yeah. The Buddha emphasized the importance of cause, importance of creating good karma, but he emphasized the importance of condition as well. Then, if the condition is good, then the fruits and the crops will be good. Fruits will be delicious. The rice or wheat will be delicious. If we apply this diagram, this mechanism to our own life, it's going to be like this. Cause will be my karma, and condition will be people around me. And I will have my own bright future, hopefully. So if we have good people around us, then we will have better, brighter future. If we have sort of negative people around us, we will have less brighter future. I just generally mentioned negative people. It doesn't mean Buddha put label to people. From Buddha's eyes, all people are equal and the same, almost the same. I just use the word negative because some people, we don't have good chemistry because of our own karma. So it cannot be helped. So those people will not motivate us. They will have opposite effect on us. We feel less motivated. If we want to study hard, where do you go to study? We go to the library, right? Because we will be surrounded by good people who study hard. Also, people go to Starbucks coffee shop, same reason. If you go to, for example, if we have a friend who party a lot, then our time for studying would become reduced more and more, less and less. It's like if we associate with smokers, we may acquire the habit of smoking too. Buddha emphasized the influence we receive from people around us. This is very strong. So today, I cannot explain more in detail because of time, but please remember the power of people around us, influence we receive from those people around us. And from here, I'd like you to put yourself into others' shoes too. Other people also want to have brighter future. It's the same with our own desire. So in that case, we should be a good condition for those people who are around us, especially those important people for us, family members, co-workers, or neighbors, and good friends. This is what is called mutual benefit in Buddhism. Benefiting ourselves by benefiting others. This is the basic principle in Buddhism. So being self-centered is not, of course, it's not good, and especially in Buddhism, this is denied. Buddha said it's really bad to be self-centered. We always think about other people's happiness. Then happiness will surely come back to us. This is the mutual benefit. So I want to show you one excerpt from a book I read in the past, written by a sports scientist. And he emphasized the importance of belonging to a good team if an athlete wants to improve his or her performance. So I just want to show a conclusion from the book. Recognize the enormous power of the people with whom you surround yourself. Positive energy, motivation, and drive are all contagious, like virus. It's invisible, but spread so quickly. Do what you can do to cultivate your own village of support, to surround yourself with a culture of performance. Remember that being positive and showing motivation, you are not only helping yourself, but you are also helping everyone else in your life. And unfortunately, negativity and pessimism are also contagious. Don't put up with too much of either. If people around us have that, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So one team is like a chain. So if there is a negative person, that's the weakest link, and then the chain might break down. The team cannot produce good performance, or the productivity will go down. So we should show positivity and motivation, and try to motivate other people. And that will motivate ourselves. So one very wise maxim says, if you feel unmotivated, motivate others. Yeah, this is very important and effective. In what kind of occasion we are not motivated? When we are overwhelmed by our desire for comfort and leisure, and the desire for slacking off. Somebody said, this desire becomes stronger when we have more free time. If we have more and more free time, the desire for sleep and leisure, which means we want to slack off more and more. This is human nature. So everybody has this desire, and everybody has strong, great aspiration. So we are the same, but sometimes we are overwhelmed by this desire for comfort. We need to break it down. So we need courage, and motivate others will motivate ourselves. Okay. If I have a little more time at the end, yeah, I want to come back to this topic, but I think I should move on to the next session of Purpose-Driven Lab. In this lab, we focus on the important topic of the real purpose of life, which is the, how can I say it? Yeah, the discussion in this lab become a little bit philosophical, a little bit abstract, but we try to break it down, and using a lot of concrete examples. In any circumstances, having clear-cut vision of the purpose is always important, because when the purpose is clear, we can work very hard, and we can study hard, and we can give everything we have to the task at hand. But on the other hand, the purpose is not clear. We cannot work hard. And then we question the purpose. What's the meaning of it all? Especially in this life, when we are confronted with big hardship or problems in our lives, we are confronted with such tribulation and a lot of problems attack us back to back, and we feel at a loss. We feel like hitting the rock bottom, and then we ask, why only me? In such a circumstance, some people think about the purpose of life. When I was working in Japan more than 11 years ago, I had an acquaintance, young acquaintance, who just graduated from high school and got a job at a very well-known automobile maker, Honda. And his job was designing an engine. It was his dream job. And he felt like he was in a paradise. But as time passed by, he had a very severe headache. And it didn't abate. So finally, he went to see a doctor, and the doctor found out he had brain tumor. And the doctor told him, if you had come here a little later, you wouldn't have survived. So he was grateful about the treatment. He recovered. He had a surgery, and he went bedridden for 6 months, but he completely recovered from brain tumor. But this time he developed a bipolar disorder, and he couldn't continue working. He quit his job and went back to his hometown and focused on treatment. But he said he was in a hell. He lost his job, he lost his good health, and he lost his dream. He was still young, but he lost everything. Yeah, I think he said he was thinking of suicide. But he started thinking about the purpose of life. Why am I living? What's the purpose? And for some reason, his mother was a Buddhist. I mean, very enthusiastic Buddhist. So his mother shared the teaching of Buddha little by little. That was the beginning. Now he recovered from this bipolar disorder, and he also is a very enthusiastic Buddhist, joining Buddhist lecture on a regular basis. And now he's very energetic. So Buddha said there are 8 universal suffering in life. Yeah, briefly speaking, suffering of living, and aging, and disease, and death, and separation from the beloved, and this encountering with the despised, which means encountering people we don't like so much, and the suffering of not obtaining what we want, and suffering of having this physical body. This is like a summary of the previous 7. So nobody can escape from this suffering. So all the more, we need to think about the purpose. So if we fortunately start questioning what's the real purpose of life, that's already a great achievement. And other than Buddha, no philosophers have ever given a very clear and concrete answer to this question. So if you have this question, yeah, that's a great achievement. Sometimes people start questioning the purpose of life after achieving something very big. This sounds a little counterintuitive. If we achieve something great, we feel like, yeah, like this, my acquaintance who got an ideal job, he was in paradise. Yeah, when we achieve something great, we will be in such a euphoric moment for some time. Yeah, actually, it doesn't last very long. And some people would say, is this all? People had expected something greater than that, but their expectation has been completely betrayed. So this sentiment is vividly written in a book. It's one of our textbook, the title of which is "You Were Born for a Reason." I want to show one passage from this book. Okay, Vida, could you read a few slides?
Okay, sure. From the book You Were Born for a Reason. In 1992, Japanese boxer Katsuya Onizuka became junior bantamweight champion of the world. Though he reached the pinnacle of his sport and even went on to defend his crown, a sense of lasting fulfillment eluded him. Onizuka confesses that his life was an endless cycle of seeking and failing to find what he was looking for. When I was a kid, I thought a world boxing champion was like Superman, next thing to God. If an ordinary Joe like me could ever climb that high, how great a human being would I be? That single thought is what kept me going. But then when I won, it was nothing like what I expected. You mean this is it? I think. How come I don't get anything out of it? I tell myself, surely the next time it'll be different. I'll gain something. Hoping against hope, I went on fighting match after match, but nothing ever changed. The night after a match, it drove me crazy to think I had survived yet again without finding what I was looking for. I wanted to jump for joy, but I only felt more and more unfulfilled and frustrated. The same thing happened over and over, up to and including my very last fight.
Okay. Okay. Thank you up until here. So actually, when we reflect upon our own lives, we have been repeating this similar experience again and again. And then I think we're going to repeat it again and again from now on too. Thinking that happiness must be waiting once I achieve this. So long time ago, I think many poets wrote poems like this. Happiness must be waiting across the hill. And then I made a lot of effort to climb the hill. But when I reached the top of the hill, what I found was another steep slope behind the hill. Something like that. So at the beginning, it's okay. We are full of energy. We were much younger, and we can repeat it many times. But as time passes by, and we experience aging, and then something start creeping into our mind. How long should I continue this? Our life is like a journey or a marathon. Where is the goal? We need a goal, clear goal. We cannot run a marathon that doesn't have a goal. But in reality, human life is such a goal, marathon without a goal. And one Chinese Buddhist monk, Tan Duan, explained a very interesting analogy. Let me show it with you. In Buddhism, being unable to reach the goal of the real peace of mind and satisfaction and keep going round and round on the same cycle only to suffer is called being trapped in the birth and death cycle. It's a literal translation from original language of Buddhism, Sanskrit and Chinese, and also Japanese. And then from Japanese, this was translated into English. It's called the birth and death cycle. In Sanskrit, this is called samsara. S-A-M-S-A-R-A, samsara. So literally, we are trapped. So we cannot get away. We cannot be liberated in this cycle, repeating the same routine again and again, day after day. Knowing that we have to continue suffering. Here, suffering means more spiritual. Even though we can experience a lot of joy, pleasure, satisfaction, if we are trapped, Buddha called this suffering and encouraged us to achieve liberation. And then, Master Tang Duan from China, who is considered one of the most eminent Buddhist monk, wrote in his book that we humans are going round and round in endless circles like an inchworm. This is his analogy, inchworm. An inchworm makes a lot of effort to go forward, extending and contracting. But if it's circling around the same place, it gets nowhere. So this is the real suffering of a human being. And this is the real suffering which Buddha proclaimed he will completely remove. So Buddha's method is very unique. A human being can achieve true happiness by removing the cause of suffering. This is Buddha's method. And this is what I shared in the Happiness Lab on Saturday. It's called Four Noble Truths. Some of you might have heard of it, Four Noble Truths. And let me share it briefly. Number one, life is suffering. Number two, what is the cause of suffering? Number three, the cessation of suffering. It's nirvana. Number four, the way to the cessation of suffering. How can we reach nirvana? The method, the treatment, the medicine. Number 3 is the complete recovery from a disease. And we are like a patient with suffering from intractable disease. And the Dr. Buddha examined us and gave us a diagnosis. That's number 2, the cause of suffering. So number 2 is very deep, so I cannot explain everything today. But part of the cause of suffering is very familiar with us. We experience this every single day. So this is the main topic of last happiness lab. This is very counterintuitive and very unique teaching because it's kind of opposite of our common sense. But to some extent, people will understand it. Yeah, it's about desire. Sometimes Buddha compared human desires to delicious wine. What happens when we drink wine too much? We get drunk, and then we lose rational thinking. And then while we feel so good, we suffer, right? In my youth, I drank a lot because I was not such an enthusiastic Buddhist student. Although I was listening and learning Buddhism, I wanted to have fun, so I went to a lot of parties and then drank a lot. But the next day, I suffered. And then later I found out I'm not a person who can drink a lot. So I don't drink so much after that. But in other context, Buddha compared human desires to honey. It's very delicious, but it has a negative side too. Some people use the word attachment, so the root is the same. Desires and attachment. They are a little bit different, but they have the same root. So the 5 central desires. This is also a very basic and important teaching of Buddha. We all have this, and we suffer because we seek for the satisfaction of these desire too much. So this part is very difficult to understand. So one concrete example is the example which I used in this lab was my own experience. We planted a grapevine 2 years ago in our yard, and the first year it didn't bear any grapes, but this year it bore so many bunches of grapes, so many. Yeah. So at the beginning, Buddha was harvesting some, and it tasted so good. And I was instantly captivated by the delicious taste of the grape. And then I started harvesting the grapes every few days. And while I was harvesting the grapes, I found out the grape leaves have a lot of very thin thorn. And after harvesting many, a lot of thorns stuck in my palms and the arms. And then the second time, I used gloves and the long sleeve shirt but still the phone goes through the thin layer of shirt and stuck in my arm. And I had a really hard time to remove them. But still, I was captivated by the delicious taste of the grapes, and I continued suffering. And I thought, I want to eat more. I want to eat more. So I was like a slave of my own desire for food. So this is Buddhist expression, a slave to one's own desire. And everybody has the potential to be like that. And this is how human beings continue to suffer. And yeah, actually, yesterday, I harvested the last one. So there's no more grapes. And do you know how I felt? I felt relieved. Oh, I don't need to do that anymore. Sounds very contradictory. I was relieved from my own desire at that moment. So this experience actually reminded me of one Buddha's depiction of nightmare. Sometimes we have nightmare, especially our physical condition is not good. We have nightmare, and then we suffer in our nightmare. It's a dream, but actually we suffer. So when we wake up, we get relieved. Buddha really vividly depicted one kind of very common nightmare. So let me share it. It's kind of vivid. So I have to give a little bit warning. But it's like an American horror movie. When this nightmare starts, the man notices a huge tree. Okay, it's about the desire for romantic relationship. Okay. The man notices a huge tree reaching to the heavens, whose leaves sharp as sword blades. At the top of the tree is a woman he fancies, with a come-hither look on her face. She beckons to him. It is the man's former lover. In a fever of excitement and longing, he cannot sit still. Forgetting all else, he starts up the tree, only for a shower of blade leaves to rain down upon him, cutting up his flesh. Though he is covered head to toe in gore, his passion only mounts. Finally, managing to climb up beside the woman, he reaches out to embrace her with all his might, only for her to disappear like magic. Now she calls to him sweetly from the foot of the tree. Darling, I came here out of love for you. Hurry and make love to me. Now the flames of his love fan brighter still, and down the tree he goes. Again the blaze leaves, which point upwards, chop at his body. His suffering defies description. When he finally lands on the ground, the object of his desire is nowhere to be found. Once again, she calls to him from the treetop, riding sensuously. Okay, that's the end of the description, Buddha's description. Yeah, that's how many people go through in real life. And because they have this experience, they suffer in their nightmare too. So this is the negative aspect of human desire. The positive aspect is it will always bring motivation to live. Yeah, every morning we get up to enjoy breakfast, right? Or go to the office and work hard. It's the desire for money. And also it's the desire for recognition. Why do we work? There are a lot of reasons. Some people work because they want validation or recognition. This is already a great reward. And also we can make money. And also, if one has a crush in his office, he can also satisfy his desire for romantic relationship too. So yeah, eating is part of our happiness, right? Because we can enjoy delicious meal every day, it gives us a lot of power to live. I'm not the foodie or connoisseur, but I really like enjoying eating delicious food. For Japanese, I'm from Japan. Rice is the source of happiness. So every time I eat rice, I feel so good from the bottom of my heart. So even elderly citizens, when people become in their 70s or 80s or 90s, little by little, people lose hopes or dreams and motivation. And then some people even refuse to eat. But even in such circumstance, if they can enjoy really delicious food, instantly their eyes will become dazzling, bright, and then they show a lot of joy. Then they can have a little bit hope in life. There was such a movie a long time ago. The title was Babette's Feast, I think. A French woman cooks a very delicious food after winning a big lottery in her hometown, and he used all this money for one dinner to her master. She was working as a maid. Giving service to two elderly women. They were very old. After enjoying this gorgeous dinner, they regained the power to live again. So this is the bright and the positive aspect of desire. So it's very important. So don't have misunderstanding. Buddha didn't encourage us to reduce our desire in order to achieve happiness. Buddha emphasized the negative part very much, but this doesn't mean he encouraged us to reduce our desire and become a celibate or ascetic practitioner. No, we don't do that. Buddha's message was, don't confuse the real purpose of life and the joy of fulfilling our desire. They are two completely different things. But in reality, majority people confuse these two and spend their whole life to fulfill their 5 desires or some of those 5 desires. And then at the end, people have very deep regret. Don't make such deep regret in your life. That was Buddha's message. And also in our day-to-day lives, we need to take the middle way. And even though something is so enjoyable, we don't need to seek for 100% satisfaction, or some people seek for 200% satisfaction. I was like that in my 20s. That was not so good. So at the end of my talk, let me share one excerpt from our another textbook, Unshakable Spirit. It's another episode, and it's a one paragraph. Okay, Bida, could you read this?
Okay, sure. Buddha's words. You must be like the string of a lyre that is taut when it should be taut and loose when it should be loose. Excessive effort leads to regret, while laziness gives rise to blind passions. It is best to take the middle way.
Thank you. Blind passions is a Buddhist terminology, which means desires, anger, and jealousy. Those are called blind passions. Today we don't have time to explain this, but please keep in mind. So desire is one of the blind passions. So this is a very well-known words of Buddha, analogy of lyre. String of a lyre. We are like a string of lyre. It should be taut, and then sometimes it should be loose. So we should take the middle way. Okay, so we're coming closer to the end of today's event. So I couldn't explain everything in this limited period of 1 hour. But if you think Buddhism is interesting, I think my purpose has been achieved. So that's the end of my Dharma talk.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Yuichi, for the talk, and good job, everyone, for sharing this 1 hour together with us here. We celebrate your bond with the Buddha and cherish it. And if you like the message, if you would like to support our cause, we appreciate your help. And thank you to our IT assistant, JK, also. So take good care of yourselves and people around you, and hope to see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.